Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at Warhammer Fest, and it is here. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. So as you can see, we're here on Games Workshop's community webpage, and the countdown has reached 0. It is officially Warhammer Fest. And I know what you're thinking. That can't be right. Warhammer Fest is this weekend. Well, according to Games Workshop, their hosting services, we have reached 0, and it is Warhammer Fest. So maybe if we just give this a little bit of a reload, we can scroll up or down here. Oh, nope. Once again, Games Workshop is falling apart. And if you don't really follow Games Workshop and what's been going on lately, you're probably thinking, falling apart? What do you mean? Stuff's been selling out like crazy. They're doing a great job. Well, we just had the recent debacle with the Lions release, the Primarch coming back, and essentially Games Workshop's website crashing all throughout the world and people not being able to check out. And now we have the actual hosting for Warhammer Community. The website is down as well. They can't even keep a counter up right here. And then on top of that, the main article that they have headlined here is the Arks of Omen Book 5 spoilers. Well, why the heck does Games Workshop have to put out spoilers and a story for what just happened in the brand new books? Why can't you just go out and buy the books? Maybe you don't want spoilers, so don't click on this, obviously. Well, if we go over to Games Workshop's website, we look right here, and obviously they completely underestimated how popular Arks of Omen was going to be. Once again, I think people anticipated that this was just going to be a product dump of useless stuff. And then Games Workshop waited months to even say anything, and then finally came out and said, well, actually, all the Arks of Omen stuff and the boarding action stuff is all compatible with 10th edition. So if you didn't buy any of that stuff, oh man, did you miss out, because that stuff's not going away. And that essentially caused this crazy situation now where everybody rushed out and bought all of the Arks books, or, went online and picked up the books that they missed out on, because you can't actually buy any of them. So the Arks of Omen Farsight book was sold out immediately. Arks of Omen Abaddon book has been sold out since the very beginning. And then the Arks of Omen Lion book was sold out in seconds. So the thing that's supposed to keep going into the new edition, you can't even pick up. Now, at some point in time, these are supposed to come back into stock. But it's just absolutely insane how much Games Workshop is just really dropping the ball on basically everything right now. So they're releasing product. Everything is selling out immediately. They don't make any more of that product to meet the demand that they already have. And what do they do instead? They just push out more and more new product. It just doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, I guess they can just keep making infinite product and just dumping it on the market and just selling out everything. But at some point in time, I mean, people just get frustrated and give up. So this whole bombardment of just nonstop box sets is great because it helps to drive down the price of the hobby, because you can bundle stuff together, get nice discounts, and honestly, I love it. But for stuff that's a necessity to play the game, not specifically like models, but like books and rules and stuff like that, if they're not going to actually post it online or give it away for free, they need to be able to have this stuff in stock. I mean, imagine trying to play a game and you can't play it because the rule book is sold out. I mean, that's what Arks of Omen Abaddon is. It's essentially the rule book if you want to play boarding actions. So it makes absolutely no sense to me that you can't even get the rule book to play the thing that's going to be able to carry over to the new edition, when the other thing, the main game, 40k, is going to go into a new edition and not be playable again. So right now, I mean, if I'm thinking at this from just a random person who's looking to get into Warhammer or already in Warhammer that wants to play some games, right now, boarding actions seems like it has the #1 appeal that it's ever going to have in existence, because we already know 40k is changing. So rather than try to figure out what's going to change and get ahead of it, a lot of people are like, well, I'll just play boarding actions because it's not going anywhere. It's a new thing. It's fun, fighting your opponent on a spaceship, etc. But you can't even do that because you can't actually pick up the Arks of Omen Abaddon book. So just a complete miss, in my opinion, from just so many angles from Games Workshop. I mean, they really need to get it together. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there, but I would imagine it is pure insanity. I cannot imagine that this is being received well. If there are any actual executives that like to make money, I mean, sure, Games Workshop's making a ton of money, selling a ton of stuff, record high sales, record high volumes, but they're not able to keep up with anything. And that just honestly doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. If there's money being left on the table, which is exactly what's happening when people can't buy stuff they want to buy, the number one thing you do is make sure that you're not leaving that money on the table. So you increase your production. So if you're already running at max capacity, you need to do something to get additional capacity online. And the whole excuse of, well, there's just nowhere else to build another factory next to our other 2 factories. There's a whole world where you could build another factory. Why not build one in North America, where over 50% of your sales are? It really just doesn't make any sense. Hopefully Games Workshop can get it together and sell people the stuff that they want, but it just blows my mind that such a big company is having so much trouble meeting basic demand. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now back to the video. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Games Workshop failings. We're here to talk about Warhammer Fest, which is obviously here based on the countdown. It has officially reached 0. So we have our previews. So obviously that is not correct. Hopefully they will get everything sorted out and the Warhammer community page will come back up eventually. Hopefully they sort out their hosting because obviously they can't cover the volume. But that being said, here is our Warhammer Fest schedule. So we have some release announcements coming up here. So these are all in UK time. So we're going to subtract 6 hours from these for the United States for Eastern Standard Time. So Saturday, we're going to see our Warhammer 40,000 preview. That's going to be at 9 a.m. British Standard Time, or that's going to be at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on noon of Saturday, so 3 hours later, that'll be 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to see Warhammer Underworlds, we're going to see Warhammer Warcry, and we're going to see some Middle Earth as well. And then on Sunday at noon or 6 a.m., we're going to see the Warhammer Age of Sigmar preview. And then at 2 p.m. on Sunday, we're going to see Warhammer Horus Heresy and Warhammer the Old World as well. So super exciting. That'll be at 8 a.m. on Sunday. And then finally we have at Monday, noon British Standard Time or 6 a.m. on Monday, we're going to see our Kill Team release. So super exciting. Definitely looking forward to these. I'm really looking forward to what's coming for Warhammer 40,000. I mean, it's been awesome lately, so I can only imagine what's next on the list. Super exciting. Also really excited to see Warcry. I would imagine it's going to be the preview for our final installment of this season of Warcry, our 4th box set. And honestly, I have really high expectations for this. We were promised that we were going to be traveling through the jungles of Gur and all this stuff. And then eventually we were going to get to the crashed Seraphon spaceship and all this stuff. And now here we are, 3 installments in, and all we've got is some tree, some skulls, and some bamboo forts. Now, don't get me wrong. I love this season's terrain in Warcry, but I was really expecting some kind of like Seraphon ruins or something like that. So maybe they're going to like put it off again and it's not going to be in this 4th box. And then there's going to be a whole nother season where we're actually in like Seraphon ruins and, you know, moving through this like spaceship. That would be super cool. So even if we don't get it on Saturday, I'm not going to be like super disappointed. I'm just going to assume they're rolling it into our next season. But to tell you the truth, I have not been that impressed with the Warcry seasons. The warbands have been really cool. The terrain is cool, but it just seems like way too much of the same stuff. And you know what? Let's jump ahead here and talk about Kill Team. We already saw the 4th box for Kill Team previewed, and it's just more of the same. The only difference is now it's going to be Beastman and Votan, which is cool and everything, and I'm looking forward to that. But they dropped the ball really, really hard on the second 2 installments of the Kill Team season, and they rushed out the second one. The 3rd one was a disaster, and now here we're getting the 4th one, and honestly, it just feels like they recycled way too much terrain. Now, it's super cool. I love the terrain, and it's awesome that it's good for like boarding patrols and playing different game types and all that. I love it. I think the terrain is great. Now, granted, it has some fatal flaws and requires a ton of prep work to get it ready. But once you do, it's absolutely awesome. It plays awesome. It looks awesome. It's great. but the fact that they essentially just dumped 4 complete sets of it, and then the boarding actions as well was just like another terrain dump, and all they really did was basically just make one cool little sprue that's a little bit different. Very, very disappointing. Very disappointing. I mean, at least with Warcry, they repeated like a lot of the terrain, but it still was assembled and built and put together in different ways, so it wasn't identical. With the kill team setups, it is literally 95% identical from box to box, and then you just get one sprue of like the accessory stuff, which is super cool. The additional sprue they put in has been awesome for each of the box sets, but it just feels like way too much for somebody that likes to pick up the various box sets or likes to play through the season, etc. Ending up with essentially 4 sets of the exact same terrain is just way too much. So very disappointing, the redundancy with the new seasons. If they were putting out fresh stuff, or they were putting different types of terrain in the sets or something like that, I think it would be much more appealing. But going forth into the future, I do not think that this whole like seasons thing is going to work well if they're going to unload 4 big boxes of basically just the same thing. So moving on to Sigmar, definitely excited to see what's coming for Sigmar. Big releases just coming out here with our 2 new Chaos faction books and heroes. And then now the big Seraphon range is going to be trickling out over the next couple of months. So looking forward to see what direction they go with that. And then we have a little Horus Heresy. I'm really following the Warhammer Old World stuff. I really like it. I really think it's cool. It's definitely nostalgic. I like the lore and everything behind it. The models look super cool. When the actual game comes out, though, I really don't think that I'm going to get into it. I was never a huge fan of the whole rank and flank and all that stuff back in the day. It was fun at the time, but I know now in hindsight that I just prefer other types of games. So while it is super cool and I like the appeal and the lore and everything about it and the nostalgia, I'm just not sure that the actual game is going to be fun or something that I'm going to get into. And just like Heresy, there's definitely cool aspects of it, but it's just not on the primary list for me. And because Games Workshop's putting out so much product so fast and it's so much to keep up with, it's just not possible for me to take on another game at this point in time. And then finally we have Monday, the Kill Team release. So I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be. Honestly, maybe some kind of like other team or something like that. Maybe some kind of expansion, or possibly they're going to jump in and start talking about or previewing the next season. But honestly, regardless of what it is for Kill Team, it feels like Kill Team has lost a ton of its steam. After 2 big boxes in a row, the last 2 expansions, having just disastrous releases, selling out in seconds, and then just all kinds of issues and taking forever to release the teams that were in that box set. I think a lot of people have really lost interest or lost excitement or motivation when it comes to Kill Team. And it's very similar with Warcry. They haven't had the issues getting the product out, but it's just been a little too redundant. So hopefully Games Workshop is seeing this and realizes that they can't just put out 4 big boxes that are 90% the same, at least terrain-wise, and expect people to keep buying them. So we'll see how it all plays out. I'm definitely looking forward to the previews. I'm not sure exactly what's coming for most of the stuff, but it is very exciting. And then also they're going to be showing off the full new rules, I believe, for Warhammer 40,000. So we should get some pretty good reviews from people as far as that. I know when they did it for Horus Heresy, right afterwards, we got a lot of feedback from people that were able to try out the rule set and play. And that was super cool. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And for those of you that were wondering about the video and the 750 missing copies of the Lion, from what I understand and some inside sources, they're going to be selling those missing 750 copies at Warhammer Fest. I'm sure we're going to see those 750 copies show up on eBay and Amazon. So yeah, definitely looking forward to Warhammer Fest. Hopefully Games Workshop can kind of get it together, kind of rein in some of the ridiculous amounts of new product and focus a little bit on just making sure that people can get the stuff that they want. I think sometimes Games Workshop loses sight a little bit. They get excited about putting out new stuff or new product releases or launches. And what they don't realize is people would rather have a little less stuff, but be able to get what they want. So rather than Games Workshop constantly pushing out big box sets and new kits and new books and new everything all the time, I think they should just tone it down a little bit and use a little bit of their production capacity to make sure that people can actually get a hold of the stuff they want. Because if they keep operating like this for too long, they're just going to keep burning people. People are just going to leave and go play other games. And that is the last thing I want. I want everybody to play Warhammer all the time and have the most fun. So that's it for today. Let me know what you think. What are you most excited about? Do you have any speculations about what's coming for the previews? Do you have any issue with Games Workshop's website crashing or the Warhammer community website being down? Always like to hear back from you guys. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Check them out to save 15%. Link in the description. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I am excited for these previews. But man, does Games Workshop need to get their act together. And I'm out of here.